Hey guys, what's going on? Today we are going to be taking a look at the Massive Rigidbody Component. So what this component allows you to do is move, of course, massive rigid bodies without, selecting anything else. So this is the same component used in the Disc of Death map, where you as the giant can grab the entire map, which is essentially a big disc, and you can spin it around, and if the warrior is on one end, as you spin it, he'll come towards you. And it's a really fun and interesting idea for a map. But of course we already have a big map here kind of, so although it's kind of terrible and a disk map might be better, I think we should just go ahead and keep what we have here. So in any case, let's take a look at this. So what this basically is a cylinder with the capsule collider taken out and replaced with a mesh collider with a massive rigid body component, rigid body, and configurable joint. And this all probably sounds super complicated, and I guess in a way it kind of is, but you'll figure it out because I'm going to teach you right now how to make a new one completely from scratch. So in our hierarchy here, we're going to right click 3D object. We're going to create a cylinder. Okay, and oops, this cylinder is for some reason parented to that, so let's just take that out. Here we go over here. So right now we have this cylinder, and it's definitely not what we want it to be, so all we have to do is resize it. So we can shrink it down so it's more like a disc, and then grab the middle one here and drag it, and let's shrink it a little bit more. So now we have another disc, and this disc we can put behind the giant for fun, because I guess the warrior could just jump over and hop on these discs, and this becomes sort of a three-dimensional map, 360 degrees of attack, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but we're gonna put this disc over here now that we have it lined up, and we can go ahead and go to Davigedit common materials, and we can give it stone paint. I think that's the same one I used there. So this is it's pretty good. This is what the developers use for the walls on the level. You could give it like a stone, but as you can see, you can't really tell so easily when it's turning because the texture is not moving. Anyway, I'm gonna go back here and make sure it's on stone paint. Just drag and drop it, super easy. That's all you have to do. And now we can go ahead, remove this capsule collider because you can see the boundaries of it. Oops. You can see the boundaries of it. It's like well, it's more like a circle now because it's so flat. But these green lines right here, those represent the boundaries, like the colliders. So we're gonna remove component, and now it has no colliders. So what we're gonna want to do, let's put in a mesh collider. Let's go ahead and hit convex, and see, now you can see the green lines. They're around the cylinder. They're not actually over it, and that's what we want. So now we can go ahead and add the massive rigid body component from Davigedit, and then we can add a configurable joint, and that's pretty much it. Now all you're going to want to do is go down here to the X motion. We're going to lock that so that it can't fall or anything. Going to lock the Y motion so it can't go up or down, and we're going to lock the Z motion so it doesn't go whichever other direction. Angular X motion, we don't want it to rotate on the X axis or the Z axis, but we do want it to rotate on the Y axis, and we can tell this because we want the circle to spin like this. And if you look over here, you can see that that number changes as I rotate it. So that is the value, the Y, that we want to go ahead and change. Well, not change, but unlock basically. We want it to have a full freedom of movement, and there's other things here that you could experiment with, and that's part of the fun of it actually. So I'm just gonna let you guys go ahead and figure out all this stuff for yourself, because the only important part is that these are locked and this is free. Unless of course you want it to spin this way, then you would change, I don't know, we'd go ahead and change, you can see the X rotation, but that's not what we want to do. We want it to be a regular disk. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that up, and now this should work actually perfectly fine. However, in this rigid body section here, we see that the mass is only 1, and basically this would be how easily you could move it, because a more massive thing would have, you know, more, I don't know, weight to it, I guess you could say. So let's go ahead and change this. We can change it to something like, I don't know, 20. Then that might be too little. Let's go ahead and change this one to 20 as well. And yeah, so now we have 2 discs here, discs that will go ahead and rotate when the giant grabs them. But if we put something on here, and then we can go ahead and export the map. Okay, close that, and now we can launch the prototype. Alright, we have Davigedit launching now. We can go ahead and go to local battle, custom tutorial, which is the map that we are making. Start game, and let me go over here. Okay. So now I'm going to switch into virtual reality real quick. So now I'm in virtual reality right now. I am the giant. We can go ahead and try to turn this, and you can see, I think, that the cube turns with it, as if the warrior here so if we pop the warrior down right here, go ahead and turn this camera here, we can see he turns along with it fine. And in fact, you don't even have to grab it, you can just kind of swish it with your hands, but you can grab it. And of course we can stop it. So definitely want to give this thing some more mass so it doesn't move so much, because you can really push it around. But with this it kind of moves with it, but you can see that depending on how much we jerk it around, it'll eventually fall off. And if you played the Disc of Death before, you know that there are buildings and structures and they don't really fall off. So how can we do that? So now that we're back in Davigedit, we want to see if we can make a structure on here that will not fall off when we spin it. So it's actually really easy. We just want to find our cylinder, and we can go ahead, create a 3D object. We can create a cube there. It's going to be all weird and deformed because of how we deformed the cylinder, but it doesn't matter too much, of course. We can go ahead, put it in the ground. Maybe we can thin it out and make our own wall. So here we go. Control D, we can take it and then drag it over here. And if you look closely at the Disc of Death, this seems to be almost exactly how they created the walls and stuff. So let's go ahead. Doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, I don't think many people will pay too much attention. This is really not looking too much like a wall at all, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so rotate this, and now we have sort of a wall here. And you'll notice that these 3 cubes, they're all under the cylinder. Like they're attached to it, which means that this cylinder is the parent. And the way we move the cylinder is the way that these things will move, which is reflected in game because we cannot actually pull these off or interact with them in any way, shape, or form, which is something we'll get into later if that's something that you want to actually do. But let's test it out now. So we go to Davigedit, export map, hit yes. Alright, it's now exported and updated. We can go ahead and relaunch the prototype. We can go to local battle, custom, and we can go to the tutorial again. And now I can go ahead and go over here. So now we see that the house area is here. Step on the bird. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and switch into virtual reality. Okay, here I am in virtual reality. And now, if I move this, you can see, no matter how much I try and move this, it's not actually going to come off. And I can even use it as like a handle if I really want to. So that is how you use the Massive Rigidbody Component. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and in the next episode we will be sort of prettying this map up and seeing what are some aesthetic things we can do to help this map look better than it actually is. So thanks for watching, and good luck making your maps.